Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure to be back in London telling our story. So we will get right to it. A couple of forward-looking slides. I'll be making forward-looking statements, clearly. We're changing over to copper now. The green energy future for the world is based on copper. So the demand is there. Unfortunately, the supply is not. That line is a 3% growth curve for copper, which is what it's been since the early 1900s. Electric vehicles, batteries, et cetera, are going to probably make that curve move up a little bit, but the supply just clearly is not there unless you see substantial increase in the copper price. Probably $3.50 is a good incentive price to get a lot of that other supply into the system. That's really being driven by grade, and the largest copper producer in the world, Codelco, probably epitomizes that. They have to spend $3 to $4 billion a year over the next 10 years to maintain their level of copper production. They're the largest copper producer in the world. That tells the story of copper in a nutbag right there, nutshell. So we are a copper store that doesn't need higher copper prices because we've got grade. Our average grade is over 2% copper in an open pit project. So we would make good margins at $2 copper. We're in a safe jurisdiction. We're in Alaska. We have a lot of copper. We also have some zinc and some precious metals, a little bit of cobalt. These are polymetallic deposits. The Arctic project is our most advanced. We've completed a pre-feasibility study, currently working on the feasibility study. And meanwhile, we're exploring the rest of the district, including exploration on our Bornite project, where we've already outlined 6 billion pounds of copper. So let me take you through this in a little more detail. As a junior explorer and developer, we certainly can't do this alone, so we've formed a number of partnerships, the most important of which is with NANA Regional Corporation. They're an Alaskan Native corporation owned by 14,000 Inupiat shareholders. They happen to also own the Red Dog mine, which is one of the largest zinc mines in the world. It's been operating for over 30 years. Teck is the operator, and it has brought a huge amount of wealth to the Northwest Arctic region. That wealth has been well distributed to shareholders of NANA and to the people who live in the region. They're our business partner. They receive a royalty, and we have a good, strong working relationship with NANA that we've developed over the last 10 or 15 years. Our second partnership is with the state of Alaska, who are building the infrastructure to support the project. This is through a public-private partnership, a group called the Alaska Industrial Development Export Authority. I'm pleased to announce that they just received an announcement from the BLM that the road that they're proposing to build, which would connect us to the rest of the infrastructure in Alaska, the BLM has announced that the record of decision will be come about at the end of the year, with the draft EIS out in July 19th and the final EIS by the end of October. So this is something that we've been working on with ADA for the last 10 years, and we're getting to the end of the road, so to speak. This will unlock the value and the value of this whole entire district in the Ambler district. Our last partnership is a financial one with South 32. They were spun out of BHP 5 years ago, but not without a copper asset. So we've been their investment in the copper space. We had an option agreement with them for 3 years. We've now will be spending the last of the $10 million from a $30 million investment that they've made in us, and at the end of this year, they'll have to make their mind up if they're going to form a 50-50 joint venture or not. They do that by investing $150 million at the asset level. So we're very confident that they will be exercising that option to form the 50-50, and that's enough money to get both projects that we've been talking about all the way through to a construction decision. So we don't have to raise any more money at all until we make a construction decision. So let's just talk about the assets. Here's Arctic, our most advanced asset. You can see the Ambler Road that is being proposed by the state of Alaska. Arctic is just a fantastic asset. It's 43 million tons of 5% copper equivalent in an open pit mining scenario. It sits on the side of the hill. You'll end up mining this with an open pit, sort of a scallop just out of the top of the hill, 7-to-1 strip ratio. but the grades can certainly handle that. Pre-feasibility study results, 10,000 ton a day operation. You're producing 160 million pounds of copper, 200 million pounds of zinc, 30 million pounds of lead, 3 million ounces of silver, and 30,000 ounces of gold a year. Investment is about $780 million. Your return on investment, NPV, from an NPV standpoint, is 1.4 billion post-tax and a 33% IRR. You're generating about $450 million of free cash flow a year. So you pay this thing off in 2 years. It's a fantastic project. This is part of a 100-kilometer long belt of rocks that contain a whole series of other massive sulfides, all polymetallic, copper, lead, zinc, gold, silver. We have co-funded a $2 million program with our partner South32 to run a VTEM survey over the whole belt. We're getting good results and generating lots of targets in addition to the known historic resources that have already been identified. So this, with the road in place, this district, it just opens up this whole district. Our second project, and of course what we envision here is a central mill at Arctic, and then processing the polymetallic ores along this whole VMS belt. The second project, of course, is Bornite. It's about 20 miles to the southwest. Here's our camp. We're well set up. We've been out here for close to 15 years now. At Bornite, we've outlined an open pit resource of about 125 million tons of 1% copper, and then a further underground resource at higher cutoff grade of about 58 million tons of just shy of 3% copper. Since that resource was announced, we've invested about $20 million from South32 as part of their option payment. We'll do another 9.2 this year, and then we'll outline, update the resource and complete a PEA and start down the path of developing our second mine here at Bornite. This year's program will continue to infill and expand the known underground resource and probably do a little bit more drilling on some of the open pit areas as well. So we'll certainly look to expand the resource beyond the 6 billion pounds of copper and 77 million pounds of cobalt. I think this is a great slide, thanks to our folks at BMO. It shows what's happening in the copper space from the development side. On the vertical axis is grade, on the horizontal axis is billions of pounds of copper. What you can see is there's lots of large, low-grade porphyries out there. These things are running 0.3, 0.4% copper, sometimes copper equivalent. They're big, but they require huge amounts of capital investment, and most of these require that 350 gold price, or sorry, copper price before you start to see that incentive to do the capital investment. A couple of standouts have been the Timok project by Nevsun, formerly owned by Nevsun, that was taken out by Zijin Mining for $1.4 billion. And then the Hermosa project in Arizona, Arizona Mining, that was bought by our business partner South32 for $1.6 billion. You can see where Trilogy stands. The size of the bubble here is the market cap of the company. We're certainly in the same sphere as in terms of grade and quality of deposit as Arizona Mining. Our business partner is South32, so I think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going to happen here in 2 to 3 years. We think we'll make our 50%. When they exercise their option, they'll own 50%, and they'll probably at some point want to own the other 50%. We're in booth C11, and if you have questions, please come by and see us. Thank you.